Hello and welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Kimberlie Acosta. Many of the stories heard here can be found at our websites, IndianCountryNews.com or IndianCountryTV.com. Here is the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A judge has agreed to consider another argument from activists suing to void the lease of 120 acres of state land for a nickel and copper mine in the Upper Peninsula. Ingham County Circuit Judge Paula Manderfield in March upheld the Department of Natural Resources' decision to lease the property to Kennecott Eagle Minerals Company. The company wants to place its surface buildings and other facilities on the land near the underground mine in the Yellow Dog Plains region of western Marquette County. But last week, Manderfield acknowledged that she had erred by failing to consider separately the opponent's contention that the DNR had not met its responsibility to manage natural resources for the public good. She has scheduled a hearing for June 10th in Lansing, Michigan. Groups joining the lawsuit against the lease include the National Wildlife Federation Yellow Dog Watershed Preserve, the Keweenaw Indian Community, and the Huron Mountain Club, an exclusive hunting and fishing retreat near the proposed mine site. 19 American Indian artists from the West have been chosen to show and sell their work at the National Folk Festival set for July 11th through the 12th in Butte, Montana. The 19 were among 35 applicants whose art was evaluated on the basis of traditional Indian qualities, regional culture, and the artist's relationship with his or her community. Organizers of the festival say traditional and contemporary arts and crafts will be on display. Butte is hosting the National Folk Festival for the second year and will also be hosting it in the year 2010. A second Connecticut Legislative Committee has approved a proposed ban on smoking at the 2 tribal casinos in the state, despite threats of a costly lawsuit. The Government Administration and Elections Committee passed the proposal on an 8-3 party line vote on Monday, another step towards debate in the full House and Senate. The Public Health Committee voted 28-2 in favor of the bill last month. Democratic lawmakers and the Attorney General say the state has the authority to prohibit smoking to protect workers' health, but Republicans insist that a ban would be unconstitutional and violate compacts between the state and the tribes. The tribes that run Foxwoods Resort Casino and the Mohican Sun say a ban would violate their rights as sovereign entities and force them to sue. Loretta Toole, co-founder of Anderson Toole, which is a 100% Indian-owned law firm in Washington, D.C., has been chosen to receive the American Bar Association Margaret Brent Award for 2009. She is among 5 distinguished attorneys who will receive this award on August 2nd at the annual American Bar Association meeting to be held in Chicago, Illinois. The Margaret Brent Woman Lawyers of Achievement Award recognizes the accomplishment of women lawyers who excel in their field and have paved the way to success for other women lawyers. Previous winners of this award include Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and former Attorney General Janet Reno. Loretta, a member of the Nez Perce tribe of Idaho and a descendant of the Chief Joseph's Band of Wallowa, Oregon, is the first Native American woman to be recognized in the award's almost 20-year history. Her award was based on her mentorship of Native American women attorneys, public service at the United States Senate and the Department of Interior, private law practice, and the leadership with nonprofit entities. Indian casino operators now have another problem to worry about: the Apple iPhone and the Apple iPod Touch MPS. It seems that these devices have a program that can help blackjack players count cards. Nevada Statute 465.075 states, "It's unlawful for any person at a licensed gaming establishment to use or possess with the intent to use any device to assist 1. in projecting the outcome of the game, 2. in keeping track of the cards played, and 3. in analyzing the probability of the occurrence of an event relating to the game." That means if you have an Apple's iPhone or iPod Touch MPS player, which has a program capable of running an application that counts cards near a blackjack table, then you could be in deep trouble, for that is a felony. Nevada gaming regulators have issued a warning to casinos to be on the lookout for people using the program after California gaming authorities found players using the devices in a Northern California tribal casino. 3 Mucka grandmothers walked most of the way from Nia Bay to Portland, which is more than 300 miles, to draw attention to the treaty rights of all Indian people. Gail Adams, Dottie Camblin, and Rhonda Markishtam spent several weeks making the journey, carrying signs urging state and U.S. governments to uphold the obligation contained in treaties signed with Indian tribes. We weren't just doing it for our tribe, we did it for all tribes, Adams said. High on their list of priorities were topics such as health care, domestic violence, the tribal court system, and the Mucka tribe's treaty right to wail. The women walked to Portland's Bureau of Indian Affairs office via Port Angeles. They also made stops at the federal courthouse in Tacoma and took up posts on the steps of the state legislature in Olympia. With the help of a donation from the Courte tribe in Idaho, the grandmothers then took a road trip to Phoenix, Arizona to attend the meeting of the National Congress of American Indians. The drive through other native lands impressed upon the women the need of all Indian people. Other folks have it worse in Indian country, Markishtam said. That is why it is important that we continue to speak up about treaty rights. Free-roaming horses have been a part of the landscapes across Northwest reservations since the Spanish brought the species here 200 years ago. Today, for a variety of reasons, the resident adult horse population in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho is estimated at 20,000 head, and the annual foal crop raises that number by 20% every year. Feral horses and unwanted domestic horses being dumped in the country because of the weak economy are destroying rangeland forage needed to feed livestock and big game. Horses are eating plants of spiritual and nutritional significance to local tribes. They are eating from the same grasslands that support other traditional foods such as deer, elk, bighorn sheep, and sage grouse. Now members of 5 affected tribes, the Umatillas, Yakimas, Warm Springs, Colvilles, and Shoshone Bannocks, have joined together to create the Northwest Tribal Horse Coalition, with hopes of developing strategy to deal with the horses. They are working with several government agencies, which include the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Bureau of Land Management, plus 3 agencies from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. 2 of those agencies deal with horse slaughter facilities and human consumption of horse meat, which is a politically loaded issue currently being debated in Congress and across many states. The coalition, in an April 7th draft white paper, outlined basic options for solving the problem, which include sale or adoption, birth control by injectable vaccine, surgical sterilization, and slaughter with subsequent sale of horse meat to U.S. zoos and foreign consumers like France, Germany, and Japan. Summit Entertainment has announced that Native American First Nation actors Chesky Spencer, Bronson Peltier, Alex Merez, Kiowa Gordon, and Tyson Houseman have signed on to star as the members of the Wolf Pack in the Twilight Saga New Moon, which is set to be released this November. In the film, the Wolf Pack defends humans against vampires, although they have a tribal history intricately entwined with Edward Cullen and his family. Casting of the Wolf Pack was overseen by award-winning casting director Renee Haynes, who is well known for her work on Native projects ranging from Dances with Wolves to Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We'd like to thank our underwriters for helping with this broadcast and look forward to seeing you again. Have a grand day.